would like to call to order the Charter Township of Chesterfield regular Township Board meeting for Tuesday, December 17th, 2024 at 7 p.m. to order. Could we all stand, face the flag, and recite the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Item 3, Clerk Berry, would you call the roll?
Supervisor Carson.
Aye, they're here.
Treasurer Elliott. Here. Trustee Anderson.
Here.
Trustee Joseph.
Here.
Trustee Hornberger. Here. Trustee Vosberg. Here. Clerk Berry is here.
Item 4, the approval of agenda. Is there a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
So moved.
Motion by Trustee Joseph, supported by Treasurer Elliott. Discussion? Clerk Berry?
Trustee Joseph.
Aye.
Treasurer Elliott. Aye. Trustee Anderson.
Aye.
Trustee Hornberger. Aye. Trustee Vosberg.
Aye.
Supervisor Kirsten.
Aye.
Clerk Berry, aye.
Item 5, presentations. We have 3 of them tonight. We will start out with Clerk Berry. You want to call the first one?
Presentation 5A is from John Johnson, Chairperson of the North Gratiot Cruise Foundation, presenting donations to local charities.
Good evening, Mr. You know what? I'll give you my mic, and if just
You need a mic. Just so we can record it on the Yeah, oh, you want it on audio? Yeah, so, come on up, join us.
You want to use that mic up there?
Whatever one you want to use. We got one over there too?
Use this one here?
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, it moves.
You gotta take the whole thing, huh? Okay, very good. Well, anyhow, I'm John Johnson, and I'm the, actually the chairperson of the North Gratiot Cruise Foundation, and we've been in existence now for some dozen years, and the people that are standing here with us today are members of the board as well as some recipients of some of the fundraising that we've done. In no particular order, Joe Baller on the end, you all know Joe Baller. And it's Jeff from the Lions Club in New Baltimore, Mike Vendetti from Biggs Bar and Grill, you might know, Flo Heyman, she's from the New Baltimore City Council, John Long, he is the COO of the Gratiot Avenue Chamber of Commerce and the Southeast Michigan Chamber of Commerce, and I too am part of that organization. I'm the chairperson of the Southeast Michigan Chamber, as well as, oh, and Bob Bunkowski, come on up here. Yeah, Bob Bunkowski was our direct. I want these people to get some credit in all this. After all, they worked their butts off. So, you know, there's that in life. But in any event, we're the Southeast Michigan Chamber of Commerce, and we actually oversee and fund the activities of the North Gratiot Cruise Foundation. We've been in existence since about 2012. Actually, my organization at that time was called the Gratiot Avenue Business Association, and we founded the cruise and ultimately the nonprofit, the North Gratiot Cruise Foundation. And for many of you in the room here, I hope you were at the cruise this year. We had a cruise every year now, and a 5K. And this year was even a little bit different. We had a crafts show associated with it, and it's really, really growing. And I talked to Brad even earlier today, and I'm laying claim to the fact that we have the biggest cruise in Macomb County now. There would be others that would dispute that, but Bob Cannon from Clinton Township for one, but either way, and it continues to grow. And so this evening, we're going to present some checks to some local community groups that we're supporting here from the area, Chesterfield in particular, New Baltimore. And over the years, since 2012 now, we're closing in on about $70,000 or $80,000 that we've raised for local community organizations, and we're really proud of that. And so, in no particular order here necessarily, but we'll start with Councilwoman Flo Heyman from the city of New Baltimore. And Jeff, you come on over and join us too, both from the Lions Club. And this year we did something a little bit different. We actually, our 5K, we took a run at it as the cruise group for a couple of years, and it was a disaster for us. So we roped these guys from New Baltimore in, and it turned out really nicely. This year we had about 150 runners, and so the proceeds from that particular event went to the New Baltimore Lions Club. And so congratulations to them, and thank you to them for the help, and we're going to continue to grow this. And for those of you that don't know this, I happen to look up the Lions Club in terms of what you guys are doing over there. But I often think of the Lions Club is just about working with the blind, but you do a lot of other stuff in the community. Thank you for what you do. You're a suburb of us here in Chesterfield. By the way, I'm a Chesterfield resident, but thank you for being part of this, and we look forward to continue to work with you in the future. And Flo Heyman, by the way, councilwoman from New Baltimore, I often characterize her. She's the dean of elected officials here in Macomb County. How many years now, Flo?
I'm in my 22nd.
And they said it wouldn't last, but either way. So, yeah, there we go. And there's, obviously there's no term limits in New Baltimore. So either way. So thank you for your help, and we're glad to work with you. We look forward to working with you in the future. And the amount was $1,300 is what they raised. And by the way, the chamber does not get anything from doing this work. Every penny that after we pay our bills, we have to pay the band and the band shell and those kinds of things, all goes back to the local community. And so anyways, thank you very much. Thank you. Yeah. And then is the representative from Michigan Veterans Home here this evening? Well, in any event, we have a check for them for $1,000. Many of you know the Veterans Home here on, I guess it's Sugar Bush Road at that point. I know it starts as Collins, but it was interesting. We have every other month we have a luncheon, and we have the veterans come out from time to time, and they actually showed up for the cruise this year, some of them, so I saw them there, and they were going around looking at the cars, and then I wanted to do something nice for them, and so we treated them all to go over to Cold Stone but then I got to thinking about it, and there's Christmas time's coming, and maybe we could do something nice for those guys over there. You know, they put it on the line for us. God bless them for what they've done for our country. We really appreciate it. So they get a real check too of $1,000. So, and I told them, use it for whatever you want as Christmas comes about. You know, if you want to do something nice for your residents, you use it however you see fit. So anyhow, that, and then. And then we donated in total $3,000 to the township for the fire department for equipment or whatever they decided. I don't know what they were using it for, but I'm sure it's something of value. And then also to the police benevolent fund, and just to kind of put things in perspective in that regard, our organization through our leadership giving program gave $5,000 a year or two ago to start the benevolent fund for the police department here in the township. And so we wanted to make another $1,000 contribution to that. And then the Parks and Recreation Department worked real closely. They always need help with the kids, and $1,000 for the Parks and Rec as well. Yeah, you all want to come up? Because we have any representatives? Brian, you might want to say a few words. Is Parks and Rec here today as well? Well, anyways, the PD, Public Safety, Parks and Rec helped out a great deal with the cruise. Thank you for what you all do. Yeah.
Sure.
And so I will say the same about our public safety personnel here in the township, really and everywhere. You know, we're blessed to have them, you know, stand in the front line for us every day. And, you know, I mentioned this to you before and at our last luncheon. You know, next time you see a police officer or a fire person or a rescue, you know, step up and say, thanks for what you do. They're the front line. There's some bad people in this world, and these guys are in between us and that. I hate it when they pull me over for a speeding ticket, but that all aside, you got to know that they put it on the line every day. They go to work. They don't know if they're coming home that night or not. Thank you to our public safety personnel here in the township. We really appreciate for what you do so very much. Yeah. Yeah. And then, last but not least, is McRest and Macomb County Rotating Emergency Shelter Team. And for many of you probably are familiar with them. There used to be around 100 churches in the county that would take a week every year to host the homeless, women at one church, men at another church. But our chamber actually took the leadership role here several years ago, and we were instrumental in raising $1.6 million to build the women and children's shelter in downtown Mount Clemens. So the churches have been relieved of that burden, but we're still housing the men at the churches, and our chamber right now actually is looking to raise $2.5 million, and we've started that process to build the men's shelter next door. But we helped host a Christmas party for homeless children here just this past Sunday, and so this is part of our contribution for the homeless children's Christmas event that took place. So, yeah. And if any of you want to talk to me, and by the way, I neglected to mention, I'm the chairperson for McRest. I've been the chairperson there. I've been a member of the McRest board now for some, 15, 16 years. I've been chairperson for the last dozen years or so, primarily because nobody else will take the job. But either way, I'm proud to do it. And if anybody is interested in talking to me about McRest tonight, as we go through we're beginning our capital campaign for our new building, and we can always use help this time of the year, and it's up to us to look after our own people. You know, there's all of these things going on around the world, but there's plenty to do right here in our own backyard in terms of making a difference in the lives of other people. And if you're not volunteering or you're not helping, whether it's McRest or whatever it is, try it. You might like it. You might find it very rewarding. So thank you for the opportunity to be here this evening. Congratulations to the new board. A round of applause for them. And then I want to say a few words about Mike's been with us from the beginning, Biggs Bar and Grill. Thank you, Mike, for your support. And I think you were the guy that dragged me into this, you and maybe John Vecchio. And then Joe Ballard's been, Ballard Towing has been an integral part of this, even at our luncheon recently. It's almost the Joe Ballard event, but Joe's out there hustling and working, and his team, and this event probably wouldn't occur if it weren't for Joe and his support and then his employees. So special thank you to these two guys for putting it on the line and putting it out there every day. And so Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays to everybody. Bob Bonkowski, back of the room. He is actually our car show director and a kind of multifaceted guy in terms of the cruise overall. Doesn't live in Chesterfield, but always here helping out. So thank you all for being here. God bless all of you. Have a wonderful evening.
Presentation number 2, Clerk Berry.
Item 5B is a presentation of the Eagle Scout projects that have been completed in the historical village.
Trustee Washburn, do you want to take this one?
Yes, thank you. Before we have the scouts come up here, I just wanted to show all of us a few photos of the work that they have done for us. Kind of a continuation of the previous presentation. There's a lot of good things that go on in Chesterfield Township that many people volunteer to make a difference in our community. This first one shows the log cabin. Isaac Giroux is the scout who was instrumental in resealing and restaining the entire building, and in addition to that, they repaired and reglazed all of the windows and painted the doors of the log cabin, and they also restained the pump house. And as an added bonus, that previous picture, they made a new photo board, so now we have 2 photo boards in the village for people that come to the village. They can pop their head in the photo and look really cool. So we want to thank that. And then other one is repainting of the one-room schoolhouse, so you can see kind of some of the mess that it was, the before pictures and after. And for safety reasons, because some of the paint way down close to the first initial board that was laid has some lead in it. That was part of the work that they had to do, is find out and have it tested. So that's why they were wearing those white suits, to protect themselves from any chemical pollutants that might be in the paint from before. So wonderful project that Eddie did. So we would like them both to come up here, right up here, and I'll meet you there, and we'll present your certificates. We'll start here with Eddie, standing next to me, who did the schoolhouse. He researched the project, including the proper preparation before painting, and this led to the need for lead abatement, as I already talked about. In addition, he spent many hours on the actual painting project himself, along with many volunteers. Mr. Foster fundraised to cover all the costs of the project. So we want to thank you very much. How many hours did you and your team put in the project?
228 hours total.
Thank you. And next one, Isaac Jarose, who did the log cabin project. And that included researching for the proper preparation for painting and the staining, the proper type of stain to use, the type of boring, or the insect boring, how to get rid of those, and how to chink the logs, and replacing the windows and glass and everything. And then in addition, he did that special project with the photo board, so we'd like to thank you for that. And Isaac, how many hours did you and your team put into the project?
I think like 270 some.
Great. So a lot of time and effort went into these projects, and that's why it's very valuable to the township for the work that these young men did. So thank you very much. And before they leave, could we have the friends and family of the scouts, and let's have our board members, maybe they can stand up, and let's get a picture of everybody with the scouts and their friends and family. And are there any members of the Historical Society here as well?
Item 5C is to administer the oath of office to new Chesterfield Township Police Department Police Officer Carson Washburn.
Director Bassett, the floor is yours. Thank you. This is tough. First, the Gratiot crew gives away a bunch of money, then the Eagle Scouts do awesome work, and I'm number 3. I'll do my best here. So, Carson, if you can come on up for me. So we're here to swear in Carson Washburn, and last week I got the chance to attend your graduation and speak, and I spoke about a couple things. That was service to community. You're about to join a extremely supportive community here in Chesterfield. They take their public service very safely, or very seriously. Anything we need, they're here for you. But with that, I expect that when our residents call, that we serve them, that we take care of them. The second thing I talked about was service to your family. Your family's here today. Make sure to remember as you go through this career, the highs, the lows, the stresses, the challenges. Make sure to take care of your family, serve your family, be with your family. And the final thing I talked about last week was taking care of yourself. And that may seem like a selfish thing to do, but in this job with so many challenges, you need to make sure that mentally, physically, financially, that you are prioritizing yourself so that you will be mission ready and are able to serve our community. With that, I'd like to step up to the front and ask our clerk to swear you in.
this so they can hear it, both of us. Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I do solemnly swear
I do solemnly swear
to support the Constitution of the United States
to support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of this state,
and the Constitution of this state,
and to faithfully perform the duties
and to faithfully perform the duties
of the office of police officer
of the office of police officer
in and for the Township of Chesterfield,
in and for the Township of Chesterfield,
County of Macomb,
County of Macomb,
State of Michigan,
State of Michigan,
to the best of my ability,
to the best of my ability,
so help me God.
so help me God.
Congratulations, officer.
Thank you.
If any of the family wants to step out, that'd be a good time to do it right now.
Item 5, department reports. I see Mr. Brzezinski, you're up at the podium already.
Yes, I am.
Floor is yours. Go ahead.
Good evening. Back to the board. In May, we had discussed a couple purchases of some election items, and we're here to touch base about the grants and reimbursement questions. We said at the end of the year we'd come back and present where we're at in terms of expenditures that the residents have incurred to support the election operation. Here in front of you on the screen are the reimbursements that we have received thus far this year. So as you can see, we have various funding sources. We're eligible for a NGO grant. This is from an entity that is not governmental, but they support the mission of government, and that was for election security. That was in the amount of $30,000. HAVA is federal money that we were eligible for, and you see we recouped $26,000 for eligible expenditures. This was recouped in 2024, however, the funds were from 23 as well as 2020. And then below, special elections that we hold, so for the special districts, meaning school districts, as most people are familiar with, we get those expenses back. And then the big one down there being the presidential primary, the nominating committees, so the Republican National Party and the Democratic National Convention, they reimburse us for 100% of the costs incurred. So as you can see, $207,000 in costs that we have recaptured. And then on the second slide here, we do have some outstanding grants, so we are forecasting to receive further funds. Specifically from the state of Michigan, early voting was the new toy in the toy chest this year, and there was quite a bit of money allocated by the state legislature to help offset costs for the local unit. With that in mind, early voting, we just submitted our application to the county, excuse me, not our application, but our reimbursement claim for $92,993. That is awaiting adjudication by the Michigan Department of State. They review everything from what we purchased, that we went through the proper channels, RFP for certain things of that sort. And then below are early voting wages. So as you see, there's $125,000 in outstanding funds. However, we're optimistic that our claims will be met in full and paid. We haven't had any issues with recouping any money, which is awesome. But that would, the sum totals would be $333,461. If you look at our budget that has been approved by the board this year, as well as with the mid-year corrections, that's about 46% of the budget as it stands now. However, tonight we are asking for an amendment to offset some costs that we couldn't forecast for. So when we take in the $100,000, if approved by the board, it would be more like 42%. But just giving a status update of where we are.
Thank you, sir. Questions from the board?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have a question. This slide and the slide before, the number across the middle there says well, here on the bottom says sum total, but that's the same number as the last bullet point entry. Is that just a typo, or can you explain that, please?
No, so that is a running total of the sources. So as you see, we have them broken out by their component unit. So the funding source, NGO, federal government grant, and then reimbursements. So it's a running tally, and then that is the sum total of grants and reimbursements received. So the 207 is just essentially emphasizing the totals there.
Oh, behind each bullet point is a separate number,
Correct.
not
Right-
in a column, so, okay, all right,
Yes.
thank you.
Any further questions? Thank you, sir. Any further department reports? Trustee Joseph, I'll bring it to the board.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Supervisor. I just wanted to bring the board and the public up to date on our most recent Senior Advisory Committee meeting. We met last night, and for those of you that aren't aware, the Senior Advisory Committee was formed shortly after the renovations here started and the seniors were displaced in a sense that their activities were moved over to the community center. So during the renovations, we found that the advisory committee was actually a very useful committee, and we continue to meet monthly to talk over some of the problems and concerns that the seniors have. I don't know how you felt, Brad, but I was really kind of touched. One of our committee members talked about the home that she feels here at the Township Senior Center, and it was sort of all-encompassing. She liked to take advantage of a number of the activities and felt like this space was her home. She made the comparison between selling a home and moving into a new home. Even if that home was bigger and better and nicer, it was still some sentiment. And she described that, and in part because we are now to the point where our Parks and Rec Director, Ms. Vanderson, has sort of taken a look at staffing and programming and trying to decide what programming will be held here at the Township and what will be continued at the Senior Center. And what we have seen is the growth of the senior utilization of the many programs, and we've kind of the space here doesn't really allow for us to accommodate as many seniors as there are demand for the various programs. So we went through and talked about which programs will be returning. The anticipated return here for the full use of the Senior Center is still spring of 2025. Our construction and our F&O team are doing a great job to keep us not only updated, but all accounts are that the construction here is going as planned. So generally the breakdown will be that the weekly programs that are currently being held, all programming at the community center, the programs that will continue when the return is completed, the fitness and the aerobics, the yoga, there are a number of clubs, knitting club and quilting club, that will continue at the community center, and then a lot of the board games and bridge, poker, and some of the others will be held at the Senior Center. So overall, the programming there continues to thrive. There was a new system put in place for registration for some of the bus trips, which have been expanded over the years. Again, Ms. Vanderson and her team do an excellent job. The registration for the new programming started last week, and everything went, the system which they thought could be overloaded was perfect and working very, very well. No complaints, and the bigger issues that we have moving forward are just trying to decide. They have some funds available, approximately $60,000 that was raised in a charitable way that the senior committee is working to figure out how to best use that. A few issues continue with the building. Primarily the HVAC system there is quite old, and so sometimes when we have really hot days, the air conditioning is less than adequate, and the counter to that is when we have really cold days, sometimes it's a little chilly in some of the rooms. So we're working to address that. One of the suggestions was the lighting there is not the greatest, especially in the evening. So we're working with DTE to get some additional lighting in the front. And then probably the biggest issue, which impacts not only the seniors but the entire township, is the supervisor and his team's work with the SMART people. SMART being the bus service, the funding that comes from this community. I think the supervisor informed our group last night that we're over $2 million of funding in our taxes for the SMART system, and the bulk of that money goes to the routes that go up and down Gratiot. To be quite honest, I think that they're very underused. Those buses are routinely quite empty, but what we do benefit by are the services that are provided through a division of SMART, which is the shuttles that we often have. If you were here for the tree lighting, and you know that Historic Village sometimes has events, and we use the township grounds as the staging area, and then Green Elementary is the overflow parking. SMART provides that through a credit system. And the long and short of it is I don't think we're getting our full credits, because the other thing that we get from that are some of these senior bus trips. And Supervisor Kirsten reported to our group that at the most recent regional meeting, we're on schedule to receive $80,000, which is really not acceptable when you consider the amount of money that the community puts towards the SMART system. So advocating for our seniors at the SMART level has been quite a challenge. Is an understatement. I think they are a very, very big organization, and they really don't see us as, I don't know. We got a lot of work to do there, and on behalf of our seniors, I'm willing to take that on, and I think the supervisor is as well. But great group of individuals, as anybody who follows these meetings knows. Last board meeting, the appointments for committee assignments were made, and the senior committee was seen as a valuable committee that will have a formal place. And so January will be our first official meeting, and we will begin to put those minutes and agendas online. They are a public meeting, and so if you want to see what's happening in the township as it relates to seniors, please feel free to join us. We meet the third Monday of the month at 6 p.m. at the community center, and please watch the township website for more details. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further? Clerk Brady?
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. We've covered elections with our election coordinator, has covered the elections department for you. I'd like to give you an update on the clerk's department. So we had obviously major operation for the last 14 months with elections, and now for 2025, our goal is a major overhaul of our records and our records project. That records project is going to be headed up by Erica Savinsky, who is our records coordinator, as well as the newly appointed deputy clerk, Lisa Rush. They are heading up that operation. There is, needless to say, a tremendous amount of preparatory work that needs to be done in order to get to our ultimate goal, which our goal in this records project is to digitize as many records as we possibly can, both for internal operational efficiencies, but also we hope to include a public portal where the public will be able to actually go to a digital or virtual library and access any record that the township has. We're probably a couple of years down the road with that, but we really hope to, it's going to be a multi-year project, but we hope to get a lion's share of much of the preparation for that from converting hard copy records into digital records that are accessible not only from the internal staff here, but also by the public. So if it's something you have to come to the township to pick up or have emailed to you or put in a FOIA request, we're hoping to eliminate a lot of that, and you'll be able to access whatever record you need from the township wherever you are 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So in anticipation of that, the clerk's office has a considerable amount of work to do over the Christmas holiday. We are going to take advantage of the township is actually closed 3 days of each of the next 2 weeks. The clerk's office is actually going to be closed beginning Monday, the 23rd, to the public, and we will be closed until, we will reopen to the public on January the 6th. However, we will still be servicing residents via email and phone. Just the physical office will be closed down because we're going to be doing a lot, moving a lot of sensitive information back there, and so we have a couple of our staff are going to be taking care of that. So we just simply will have the physical office part closed to the public, but we'll be able to service whatever your needs are via phone and email. Should you need to meet in person with us, we can do that as well. We will just have to be doing that by appointment in order to secure those records that we are going to have out in kind of a large area. So just a couple of operational adjustments for the next couple of weeks, and then we will be ready to start that project in full in January, and we will be updating the board as far as what our strategic plan is for that project, along with benchmarks and quarterly updates as well as we move forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Seeing no further comments from the board, I will go to item 7, public comments on agenda items only. The public is allowed to speak. There's a 3-minute time limit. If you would, please state your name for the record, just so we can keep track. It is not required. Any public comments on the agenda tonight?
John Speaka, Chesterfield Township. Under the bill run, I do have a couple questions. Under the supervisor's office, I noticed that we've got a new labeling called the Community Leader Events, no name on who went to that event. It's taxpayers' money, so it should be listed on there on who went to that event. I'm going to call it a luncheon, but you guys are going to call it an event, so same thing. Under the treasurer's office, the treasurer had a community leader event too, no name. This has been brought to this board many times. There's 7 members of this board, and I would think that if you did your due diligence and looked at the bill run like you're supposed to, that you would ask the same questions that I'm asking and would demand that the residents and the taxpayers know who's going to these events and what we're paying for. And then under the treasurer's office, you know, it was supposed to be a cost saving when the treasurer knocked Mr. LaFata out by 300 and some votes. She decided to go with LaserCom for the water bills, and I haven't seen any savings. As a matter of fact, we paid $15,010.92 for the last batch of water bills that went out. And on your cell phone for the Treasurer's Department, the $117, is that for 1 or 2 lines? Because that bill's gone way up. Under the December budget amendments, we're making amendments, which is we're adding to the budget on the Elections Department, which was covered great by Mr. Mason for $100,500. General Administration had the biggest at $199,530, and Facilities and Operations at $77,350. So if you could get into detail and explain to the residents what the amendments are for and why we fell short in those 3 departments, I would appreciate it. And in response to Mr. Joseph, as far as the senior committee that you have, I addressed this at the last meeting. There were several complaints that the Connection magazine was not received by every resident in this community. I never got a response back from anybody in Parks and Recs or any board member. And as far as the bus routes being underutilized, I didn't hear any facts and data where that came from. And then as far as inviting the public to the meetings for the seniors once a month, the last time a resident tried to go to one of those meetings, she was told that she wasn't welcomed and couldn't come. So are the residents invited to these meetings, or they're not? So if we can get clarity on that, I'd appreciate it. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Jennifer, and I live on Monty Road. I'm here in response to the letter we received regarding the pathways from our subdivision to the township. I've lived in the Sugar Bush Farms subdivision since its conception. Been there 26 years. I was the 11th house built. I have always thought there should be some kind of access from our subdivision to the township. It would be great to walk to the tree lighting, walk to events at the village. I would love that. With that said, you know, obviously I'm for the purchase of the property. With that said, you know, it does mention staying green, staying natural, you know, not developing it. That would certainly be, you know, our wish in my house. You know, and obviously I have some neighbors here that live across, you know, by is it Harms Drain? You know, I'm sure they don't, I'm not gonna speak for, I'm gonna speak, you know, they probably don't want people walking through their backyard and whatnot, but I'm sure if the property is purchased and it's, you know, set up really nice with a pathway with some green trees and make it look very pleasant, simple, I think the residents would really love that. So I just wanted to express that. And also I want to thank you for all that you do, okay? So we appreciate it. Thank you so much and have a Merry Christmas.
Thank you, ma'am.
Hi, my name's Terry Scheich. I'm also a resident of the Sugar Bush Farms subdivision, and that property is right behind me across the Harms Drain. And we've been in communication with the owners of that property, and it is their heart, you know, to have it, you know, sold. And we just didn't want builders coming in and building homes back there. And they were talking about the same thing behind our house. And so we purchased some property behind us, and the township, you know, cut it off at the middle of the creek and Harms Drain. But we are open to that purchase of that property over there, and it'll be a good thing for everybody, I think. Thanks.
Hi, I'm Katie, and I live on Monmouth Drive, and Terry's my husband, and I'm 100% in agreement with him that the land should be purchased for a pathway so that it's not developed into homes and roads. We have a beautiful view of the woods, and it's like being in the country for us when we look out the window. So I'd like it to stay that way, but also, as Jen said, we don't want the public walking through our backyard either. So we'd like to see that remain as beautiful as it is. And our neighbors do agree as well.
Good evening. My name is Sean Little. I live on Monty as well, and I'm 2 houses right off of the drain. So we've been here about 15 years. The reason we purchased this house instead of a different house in Chesterfield was because of the woods that were behind us. So we're 100% for it, but what I would like to see is what the proposal would be if we do turn that into a nature park, so folks aren't walking right up against our houses, where the access points would be. I'm 100%. My wife and I, she couldn't make it tonight. We just said, look, we don't want no builders behind us. We don't want to get additional houses back there, and that's the reason we bought that house. But we're for the purchase, but I would like to see a proposal of some sort of exactly where they're going to be able to come in and out. Talking with numerous neighbors, we all kind of feel the same. We don't want additional houses back there. So, but being directly involved with it, 2 houses off the drain, I would like to see that proposal. So, appreciate it.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, good evening and Merry Christmas. I am a resident in Sugarbush Farms, and my house is, our house, Kimberly, my wife, is right on Harms Drain. So we're neighbors of Sean's here, and we're definitely all for the proposal to try and keep that land as a green space. I believe that there's enough development going on in the area, in other areas in our subdivision and along Sugarbush and some of the other residential areas that we don't really need any more housing. And I know that area behind us is really wet. It gets marshy and swampy, and one of my fears would be that anybody who builds there is going to push all that water somewhere else. And I'm not sure, or the Harms Drain, I've noticed that the drain itself has, it seems like it rises in level a lot quicker now with the additional residences that are currently being put in. So I'm hoping that it's going to settle down here and level off. But as far as a green space and a trail and access to the township, I think the access to the township would be a great plus. We can get to the village, we can do the walking, get our daily steps in, and I definitely am in full approval of going forward with this plan. Thank you.
There's a sheet there if you want to sign.
Oh, back here.
Any further comments on the agenda items? That being said, we'll move to item 9, public hearings. Am I missing someone? I moved item 9, public hearings. There are no public hearings scheduled. I'm sorry, I'm getting ahead. Item 8, the consent agenda. Clerk Berry.
All items under the consent agenda are considered routine by the board and will be enacted in one motion. There is no separate discussion of these items. If discussion of any item is required by a board member, it will be removed from the consent agenda and considered separately. A, approval of the minutes of the regular board meeting of December 10th, 2024. B, approval of the payment of bills as submitted by the Finance Department.
Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented?
Motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Motion by Clerk Berry, supported by Treasurer Elliott. Discussion? Seeing no discussion. Clerk Berry.
Clerk Berry, aye. Treasurer Elliott. Aye. Trustee Anderson.
Aye.
Trustee Joseph.
Aye.
Trustee Hornberger. Aye. Trustee Vosberg.
Aye.
Supervisor Kirsten.
Aye. Now item 9, public hearings. There are no public hearings scheduled tonight. We'll move to the regular agenda, item 10. Item 10A.
Item 10A is to approve a recommendation by Finance to make the final budget amendments to the 2024 budget and to do any outstanding interfund transfers.
Supervisor Kirsten will make a motion to approve. Is there any support?
Support.
Supported by Clerk Berry. Floor is yours, Vicki.
Good evening. This is our 2024 December amendments. As you know, we do 2 main amendments a year, one in the summer and one at the end of the year. Tonight, we're going to be amending for 2 different funds, which is General Fund and Public Safety, totaling 10 departments. These are primarily expenditures that we're looking at. I do want to take note that the mid-year amendment was amended the revenue. So we'll get into it in a little bit when I go over the highlights. But the original general fund budget for revenue was $9,998,000 approximately. The current budget sits for revenue for general fund sits at $13,708,000. So approximately $3,710,000 difference. So we already amended for revenue, our anticipated revenue in the summer. And now some of this, again, which we're going to get into briefly, is the expenditure side of it. All right, so going over our 10 departments, the highlights, and I can go in any more detail or in more detail if you would like. The first one is the supervisors department. We have the part-time temp or intern payroll for approximately $15,300. Our second department is the elections department with a total department amendment looking at of $100,500. The majority of this cost is due to the related early voting And it includes like election workers, some of the needed election support systems. The third department is going to be the clerk's department for their printing and publications for approximately $15,500. That is their publications for SADs, IFECs, public notifications. Our fourth department is our general administration. That one is, as the name entails, is like our general overall cost for retiree medical, pension contributions, OPEB, contractual services, legal, and audit. The one I do want to point out is our general insurance and bonds. We did have a higher than anticipated renewal quote in there, and you'll see that amendment within that general administration group. I know that we've been, for the last couple of meetings, talking about going out for bid for all of our larger contracts. That's one of the ones that we're going to be going out for bid for too, because again, I think a lot of people had seen that their insurance is going up, and we called other communities and we looked around, and it was very common what we were seeing. We were seeing other places, but that will be on our going out for bid list. Our fifth department is our facilities and operations. That there is actually just a transfer from general fund to water and sewer. We repurposed some of the cars from water and sewer. General fund will be utilizing them, but general fund needs to pay water and sewer for those vehicles. Our sixth department is our Anchor Bay pump station utilities for $11,000 approximately. The seventh department, and this is going to get into where I was talking about, we've already increased the revenues related to it, is our highway, streets, and bridges. So our retention ponds, which I know that have had a lot more light on this year, we've done some more transparent accounting with it and separated them into their own line items. So you're going to see that as an amendment. Our street lighting, which is, as bills come in, we bill that out, so there's additional revenue to offset the additional expenses. We have the sidewalk SAD. Again, that's something that we pay the cost of, but then we collect from the appropriate parcels that it is affected. We have our Salt River SAD in there. And then some of the ARPA funds that, again, we've already included additional revenue is the Jefferson Avenue pathway, the municipal pathway, again, for ARPA. And all of these different projects at some point have already gone to the board individually for approval. This is just that year-end reconciliation of them. The eighth department is our community center. Originally, when this department was budgeted, a little over a year ago, it was the lease of the community center, and since then we have purchased it. And there was utility costs and stuff like that that are now included in that department. And then 9 and 10 are small amendments for our public safety, being some of their direct card access systems, the renovation, and some of that also is some ARPA expenses that additional revenue will come in, their GIS system, and then a turnout gear reimbursement grant. So the board has gotten the detailed listing of all of these and the account numbers that it affects.
Thank you. Questions from the board? Trustee Joseph?
Yeah, just more of a comment. One, thanks for the itemized. It's very easy to follow, and I appreciate that, Vicki. But we had a lot of attention, and I expect that we'll have continuing attention on the retention and detention ponds. When we talked about it most recently, residents were coming in and they were asking for maintenance records on their pond, and trying to reconcile them with increased SAD sort of attachments on their taxes. And longer question shorter, could we put, is this something that maybe we could include on our dashboard on our township website as we itemize those individual ponds and let people see? Because I know you got to get inundated with calls whenever there's equipment at one of the ponds. What's going on? Is there a pump failure? And sometimes it's just routine, maintenance. And I'm wondering if maybe it would be helpful cut down on some of the FOIA requests and just to include that if you're going through the extra work of itemizing. I think we talked about 8 the last time. maybe just make that part of our township website, include that on the dashboard, and people in the affected, neighborhood could see, pretty quickly what's going on their detention pond. Just a thought, and wondering, would it require much work on your department? Is that a heavy lift for you?
I think that's a worthwhile discussion that we should absolutely have. I think that it's going to be a kind of a collaboration with a couple different departments. Extra work is not going to be the question for us. I mean, if it's something that's worthwhile for the residents, we can absolutely do it.
Just the coordination.
Yeah, and it's just because we deal with like direct purchases. The actual man hours, the labor hours would be coming from the department. So I think
Sure.
that, tomorrow or sometime not early this week, because we're already midweek, but sometime this week, we can maybe sit down and start discussing some possibilities on what it would look like.
So not urgent, unless somebody's gonna shovel one off for ice skating, I don't think we'll get really into the swing of the full maintenance, but just something to think about maybe in the upcoming year.
To your point, the direction we're going in, and recall some of the with the building of a GIS network and system, the interoperabilities between records management and the GIS, the direction that we are going is each subdivision and each homeowners association will be identified, and we've already begun to try to mine the data of the homeowners association, so they can go to our website in the future. It's gonna take some time to build. You click on your homeowners association or your subdivision, your homeowners association bylaws are there. Everything that we have record-wise fits exactly.
So
the
that would be
record.
like all the SADs, not just the detention ponds, and so that'd be
That's
awesome.
correct. And
Yeah.
just so you know, we
Yeah.
just found another one yesterday.
Oh,
So we're moving in that direction. It is gonna take some time to coordinate it, but
Great.
we'll get there.
thank you, Vicki.
Any further questions? I have a motion by Supervisor Kirsten, supported by Clerk Berry, to approve item 10A. Clerk Berry?
Supervisor Kirsten.
Aye.
Clerk Berry, aye. Trustee Anderson.
Aye.
Trustee Joseph.
Aye.
Trustee Hornberger. Trustee Vosberg.
No.
Treasurer Elliott.
Aye.
Item 10B.
Item 10B is to approve the request by the Treasurer's Office to adopt Resolution Number 2024-38 to collect 50% of the Anchor-Based School District 2025 tax levy in the summer.
So motion. Motion by Trustee Anderson, supported by Supervisor Kirsten. Discussion? Treasurer Elliott, floor is yours.
This is very routine. Just have to pass a resolution in order to collect the taxes.
Thank you. Clerk Berry?
Just to answer a question that we tend to get asked every year, is there any reason why we can't put all of these items that we do every year on the consent agenda? The reason why we can't do that is they all have to be their own individual resolutions that require roll call votes.
I'll leave that to you. You're the expert.
There we go.
Any further discussion? I have a motion by Trustee Anderson, supported by Supervisor Kirsten, to approve item 10B. Clerk Berry?
Trustee Anderson.
Aye.
Supervisor Kirsten.
Aye.
Trustee Joseph.
Aye.
Trustee Hornberger. Trustee Vosberg.
Aye.
Treasurer Elliott.
Aye.
Clerk Berry, aye.
Item 10C.
Item 10C is to approve the request by the Treasurer's Office to adopt Resolution Number 2024-37 to collect 100% of L'Anse Creuse School District 2025 tax levy in the summer.
Is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Clerk Berry,
Support.
Supervisor Kirsten. Discussion? Similar item. Clerk Berry?
Clerk Berry, aye. Supervisor Kirsten.
Aye.
Trustee Anderson.
Aye.
Trustee Joseph.
Aye.
Trustee Hornberger. Trustee Vosberg. Treasurer Elliott.
Aye.
Item 10D.
Item 10D is to approve the request by the Treasurer's Office to adopt Resolution Number 2024-39 to collect 50% of the New Haven School District 2025 tax levy in the summer.
Is there a motion to approve? Supervisor Kirsten will make a motion to approve. Is there support? Treasurer Elliott. Discussion? Clerk Berry?
Supervisor Kirsten.
Aye.
Treasurer Elliott.
Aye.
Trustee Anderson.
Aye.
Trustee Joseph.
Aye.
Trustee Hornberger. Trustee Vosberg.
Aye.
Clerk Berry, aye.
Item 10E.
Item 10E is to approve a recommendation to re-enter into a one-year agreement with Diligent, formerly known as iCompass, from January 1, 2025 through December 31st, 2025, for agenda management and video services in the amount of $20,148.94, and amend the 2025 IT department budget from $19,000 to $20,148.94.
Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion by Clerk Barry, supported by
Support.
Treasurer Elliott. Karen?
I just wanted to address the amendment on that. We did budget for 19,000, didn't realize that it was gonna go up, so, and it is, something we use on a daily basis for our agenda, so.
Thank you. Discussion? Clerk Barry?
Clerk Barry, aye. Treasurer Elliott.
Aye.
Trustee Anderson.
Aye.
Trustee Joseph. Aye. Trustee Hornberger. Aye. Trustee Vosberg. Aye. Supervisor Kirsten.
Aye. Item 10F.
Item 10F is to approve a recommendation to award the Municipal Office Pedestrian Bridge Improvement Project, RFP number 2024-FO-93, to PIBC LLC in the amount of $39,130 and will be paid with ARPA funds.
Is there a motion to approve? Trustee Vosberg, supported by Supervisor Kirsten. Mr. Sonnenberg?
Good evening, just a couple quick slides. And this was on June 25th, 2024, the Township Board approved an allocation of $44,000 in ARPA funds for improvements to the pedestrian bridge at the municipal office. So you'll see the photo in front of you. This is the municipal office. That box in the lower corner, as all of us know all too well, is the little historic bridge that goes over the drain. Next slide, Karen. This is a side view of that picture, or bridge, I'm sorry. It's about 70 feet long. Next slide, Karen, please. Thank you. You can see over the years, there's a couple deck boards. These are smaller deck boards. We're going to be replacing them with larger deck boards, similar to what we have at Brandenburg Pier. So instead of a 3x6, there'll be a 3x12 board. We're going to get rid of the old wood railings and install a new modern cable-style railing with no handrails. We're going to lose a lot of the wood just except for the deck. We're going to restain the bridge. That's all included in your package. One more slide, Karen. An example of the cable rails we looked at, the one to the left, although it's hard to see, there's some small, thin stainless steel cable that goes between those posts. We kind of shied away from the one to the right because we still would have wood posts similar to what the DNR uses. So the one we selected was to the left, and those costs are broken down in your package. Is there any questions?
Thanks. Questions from the board? Clerk Barry.
Joss, what's the anticipated life of this refurbishment?
So I can say that the post, since it's aluminum and stainless steel, you're looking at a 15 to 20 year life with no staining or maintenance. Once we seal the bridge, those boards, I can't imagine, I mean, I would say you would be safe to say 15 years on the boards that we're putting down now, similar to the ones at Brandenburg, which lasted well beyond that. But I would say you're at like a 15-year maintenance-free life with minimal staining to the side of the bridge main supports.
This seems like a pretty good deal for the price for 15 years. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any further questions? We have a motion by Trustee Vosberg, supported by Supervisor Kirsten, to approve 10F. Clerk Barry.
Trustee Vosberg.
Aye.
Supervisor Kirsten.
Aye.
Trustee Anderson.
Aye.
Trustee Joseph.
Aye.
Trustee Hornberger. Aye. Treasurer Elliott.
Aye.
Clerk Barry, aye.
Item 10G.
Item 10G is to approve a recommendation updating October 8th, 2024 playground approval to include ARPA contract to Salais Concrete in the amount of $36,008 and to Owen Tree Service in the amount of $8,992.
Is there a motion to approve?
So move.
Support.
Trustee Anderson and Trustee Joseph. Mr. Sonnenberg?
Yes, thank you. Karen, if you could, next slide. This is obviously ARPA funds again. We approved these playscapes, which actually, some of them are coming in soon, so they won't be ready till spring. But around these playscapes, in order to have the issues we had before with other playscapes where we just have a mulch edge and the mulch just gets kind of sloppy, it doesn't retain the mulch very nice, and it's problematic for us maintenance-wise. We're proposing in this bid package to use those ARPA funds to create a 4-foot concrete band around those areas. Next slide, Karen. So you can see just a real simple layout. There's the 3 playscapes and then the 3 bands of concrete that will be around each playscape. 4 foot wide in diameter. They're pretty large playscapes. Like you can see the one on top's like roughly 80 by 54 feet, so it's a lot of concrete. But these will ensure that the mulch that we paid, the $9,000 that you'll see to the right, stays in place and is well maintained. Any questions? Yes.
Just a quick one, Mr. Supervisor.
Trustee Joseph.
Hey, I'm just curious, I know you probably looked at this. What would be the cost of the, you know, the heavy kind of rubber pad blocks? It's just, kids, it's been a while, but, you know, kids are running in and out of the playscape, and then you have like a surface grade change. It's a great place for like trips and just concrete there. If there's a, you know, a relatively affordable alternative, and I was curious if there's any consideration to that.
Great question. The reason why we lean towards the concrete, it's such a big area and it's so far away from the playscape. The number one request we got was accessibility. So when mothers bring their strollers around with a place to park, and then not only that, we can line this area with benches. So you'll be able to walk off, for example, that top one, you see that lower right corner is clipped, that actually bumps up against our new bike path. So you'll be able to take a stroller right from the bike path, right around that playscape. Not if the ground or the grass is wet, you'll be able to maneuver around safely without getting into the mulch. We have other playscapes like the one in back here who have those rubber ribbon bands.
Yeah.
They're problematic. If you go out there and you see they kind of move around, and then the full rubber is an expensive option like we're removing at the other playscape. So this is kind of the happy median.
That's a good trade-off. Thanks.
You're welcome.
Any further questions? Motion by Trustee Anderson, supported by Trustee Joseph, to approve item 10G. Clerk Berry.
Trustee Anderson.
Aye.
Trustee Joseph. Aye. Trustee Hornberger. Aye. Trustee Vosberg.
Aye.
Treasurer Elliott. Aye. Supervisor Kirsten.
Aye.
Clerk Berry. Aye.
Item
Thank you.
10H.
Item 10H is to approve a recommendation by the Department of Public Services to utilize additional ARPA funds in the amount up to $14,252.66 to cover the additional costs associated with the Neptune Advanced Metering Infrastructure Project.
Supervisor Kirsten will make a motion to approve. Is there any support?
Support.
Trustee Joseph will support. Paul?
This additional ARPA funds will help to cover the increased cost on some of the equipment that was purchased for the Neptune fund, the Neptune AMI, and then also for the DTE service drops that were required at this will be for 2 of the 3 locations. The 3rd location, we did work with a vendor. They're going to take that 3rd invoice off for us. So it'll just be for the 2 DTE service drops.
Questions from the board? I have a motion by Supervisor Kirsten, supported by Trustee Joseph, to approve item 10H. Clerk Berry.
Supervisor Kirsten.
Aye.
Trustee Joseph.
Aye.
Trustee Anderson.
Aye.
Trustee Hornberger. Aye. Trustee Vosberg.
Aye.
Treasurer Elliott. Aye. Clerk Berry. Aye.
Item 10I.
Item 10I is to approve a recommendation by the Department of Public Safety to purchase 4 patrol vehicles under the state bid from Loonhammer Dealership and 1 administrative vehicle under the state bid from Berger Dealership to replace aging vehicles in the police department vehicle fleet for a total amount of $393,292.93. This price includes all vehicles and build-out costs for 1 Ford Explorer for administration, 3 Ford Explorers for patrol, and 1 Chevy Tahoe for patrol.
So moved.
Trustee Joseph.
Support.
Supported by Trustee Anderson. Director Bassett, you made it back in the room.
Sorry about that. I had a phone call. This is a request for the police vehicles, specifically 1 administrative Explorer, 1 patrol Tahoe, and 1 patrol Explorer.
Any questions from the board? This is an annual purchase at the end
Correct.
of the year. 30 to 60 days delivery plus builds.
Just for clarity, there is no You can't go to this dealer or that dealer and pit one salesman against another. There are no commissions involved in these transactions, and these are universally priced vehicles if you can find them.
So we are using the state of Michigan bid, and that is where we get the purchase price. So to your point, it's going to be the same price, it's only who is actually participating with the state of Michigan bid.
Thank you.
Any further questions? A motion by trustee Joseph, supported by trustee Anderson, to approve item 10I. Clerk Berry?
Trustee Joseph.
Aye.
Trustee Anderson.
Aye.
Trustee Hornberger. Trustee Vosper.
Aye.
Treasurer Elliott. Aye. Supervisor Kirsten.
Aye.
Clerk Berry, aye.
Item 10J.
Item 10J is to approve a recommendation by the Department of Public Safety to establish a rifle purchase program. The cost is $54,777 and will need to be paid by the department. Biweekly payroll deductions from each employee registered in the program will begin in January 2025 to replace the funds the department paid.
Is there a motion to approve? Supervisor Kirsten will make a motion to approve. Is there any support?
Support.
Trustee Joseph? Director, you want to kind of cover this?
Yes, so this is the patrol rifle program that we're requesting approval for in the amount of $54,777. But to be clear, this will be a zero cost to the agency. What we are doing is purchasing the weapons, and then the officers who have signed up for this program will actually be purchasing them, repaying that within either a lump sum or within 26 pay periods during 2025. There is, and I want to refer to legal counsel here, there is one minor update, a couple of minor updates in the agreement that didn't get put in here, and Attorney Anderson, if you don't mind speaking to that.
Thank you, Director Bassett. Yes, board members, subsequent to the proposed agreement being put into your packet, Lieutenant McPhillips and I had some conversations with respect to a few of the provisions being made a little more clear and just a little bit of tweaking. So if the board is so inclined to approve the program, I would request that the motion include the authority for myself to work with Lieutenant McPhillips to further clarify a few of the provisions. No substantive changes are needed, just a few clarifications.
I'll continue.
And also to authorize Director Bassett to execute the agreement on behalf of the township.
I'll continue that, add that to the motion,
Continued support.
and then authorize director to finalize the agreement.
Finalize and execute.
Thank you. Any further questions, discussion? Trustee Vosper?
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. Just a question on the accounting for this. It looks like it says the money's already been budgeted. Has the amount being received from those purchasing, is that part of the budget too?
So, Trustee, I might refer to make sure I don't mess this up, but we do have to put in a line where we have an expenditure and then also a line where we expect revenue, but both are in the budget. Again, at the end of the year, it'll be a zero, but they are reflected in the budget, if that makes sense. And I hope I didn't
No, that makes it clear. So it's just, we're just approving the purchase itself.
Correct.
Thank
You're
you.
authorizing me to do this.
Any further discussion? Trustee Joseph?
Yeah, just if I could, Chief, I appreciate the communication and the discussion with public safety liaisons, and the phone call was much appreciated. But in essence, what you're doing is responding to, yet again, another school shooter crisis occurring this week. And when your department took a look at some of the recent events, most notably in March of this year, you just came to the conclusion that your officers are outgunned in a lot of instances in terms of what's out there on the street and what officers have access to. The inclusion of this rifle program, in essence, brings on 31 tactical rifles, for lack of a better description, that are the responsibility of the officer who engages in the program. So that officer is now married to that weapon for the duration. They will pay for the, I forgot the cost, $1,700 per weapon over the course of the next year. And they will obviously undergo the training necessary for that and be well versed in its maintenance and, sad to say, combat readiness. And that is additional 31 weapons that hopefully are never needed, but if they are, somewhat take a stab at trying to level the playing field with what your department has seen and witnessed, you know, around the state and the country. So it's a very innovative program, and it was something that you put together without increasing the cost to the taxpayer, which is really unheard of. So thanks for your work and the administrative team that put this idea together. And thank you to the 31 officers that signed on for the additional responsibilities of training and taking responsibility for this weapon. So thank you all around.
As part of the agreement, they agree to continue to do the training as long as they are part of this program. That is what they're signing up for. So to your point, I have an additional 32 tools, but I also have an additional 32 trained officers for this particular, the right tool for if it's that unfortunate incident does come up.
Thank you. Thank you. Any further questions, discussion? I have a motion by Supervisor Kirsten, supported by Trustee Joseph, to approve item 10J. Clerk Barry?
Supervisor Kirsten.
Aye.
Trustee Joseph.
Aye.
Trustee Anderson.
Aye.
Trustee Hornberger. Trustee Vosberg.
Aye.
Treasurer Elliott. Aye. Clerk Barry, aye.
Item 10K.
Item 10K is to approve a recommendation by the Department of Public Safety to purchase 2 Chevy Silverados under state bid from Berger Dealership to be used as an administrative vehicle and a squad vehicle for the fire department to replace their aging vehicle fleet at a total cost of $157,440.84, which includes all vehicle and build-out costs.
Supervisor Kirsten will make a motion. Trustee Joseph, do you get that?
Support.
Director Bassett?
Again, similar to the police department request, the fire department request, we are, as part of our vehicle fleet maintenance program, we are requesting to update, and we'll be a admin Silverado as well as the command squad vehicle. This will be requesting a Silverado for that as well.
Questions from the board? Any questions from the board? I have a motion by Supervisor Kirsten, supported by Trustee Joseph, to approve item 10K.
Supervisor Kirsten.
Aye.
Trustee Joseph.
Aye.
Trustee Anderson.
Aye.
Trustee Hornberger. Aye. Trustee Vosberg.
Aye.
Treasurer Elliott. Aye. Clerk Barry, aye.
Item 11, thank you, Director. Item 11, addendums. There are no addendums. Item 12, public comments. There is a 3-minute time limit. If you would please state your name, not required, just so we can keep track.
John Speaka, Chesterfield Township. I'd like to say Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to all the residents. The average cost of living increase on Social Security over the last decade has been about 2.6%, and the cost of the living increase for 25 for Social Security is going to be about $50 per month, which is an average of $12.50 per week that our seniors are going to get. At the last board meeting, the supervisor voted to raise his pay 10%. The clerk and treasurer voted to raise their pay 13%. The trustees got 12%, and the stipend went up 20%. So I totally disagreed with the pay raises. The only people that should give you raises should be residents, and it should be voted on. When you took this job, you knew what it paid. So one of the very first things that you did when you took the job is you voted to give yourselves an increase. And not all of you, because I want to thank Trustee Hornberger for voting no, and I want to thank the Honorable Hank Anderson for voting no. But the rest of you all voted yes to give yourselves huge increases. They weren't small increases, they were big increases, and they are out of line with what the average person in the private sector makes. So you're unrealistic. So again, it should have been the residents voting whether or not you deserve the pay increase based on a performance review. So and to add insult to injury, To make it even worse, in the same night, the clerk and the treasurer decide to add 2 full-time positions on top of the positions already in the department. When we talked about the deputy treasurer and the deputy clerk, they were part-time position. Our attorney said that there were only 4 reasons why you needed a clerk, a deputy clerk, and a deputy treasurer, according to the statute. They weren't full-time positions, but then the board went along, not all of you, went along to vote to create 2 full-time positions at $80,000 plus benefits. Over the lifetime of the contract, it's going to be almost $500,000 added to the budget. And then when Trustee Hornberger asked for the criteria of hiring these individuals, you guys didn't even have a requirement of a bachelor's degree in there, an associate's degree, any degree in accounting, any degree in financing. How about any degree in common sense? Nothing.
Thank you, sir.
James Locke, Chesterfield. I got a question on this rifle purchase I just thought about. I read this deal about it. Now, officers are purchasing the rifles themselves, will be purchasing them. And it states when they leave, retire or leave, they will be taking the rifles with them. Are these rifles semi-automatic or are they going to be full automatic? Are we introducing full automatic rifles into the public as they leave and go into retirement, which is against federal law? If anybody can give me an answer whether they're going to be semi or auto, please, I appreciate it.
Christina Ross. Clerk Barry, I was wondering about what you had said as far as digitized records. As far as FOIA requests go, I do recall a couple times residents getting or submitting FOIA requests and had been charged for them. So I'm wondering if moving forward with this new system, people are no longer going to have to pay for these FOIA requests and they can have those at their fingertips. Also, Clerk Barry, I was wondering when the video from the Safe and Secure Elections was going to be posted. I had inquired about them through Mason, and I've yet to receive a response on that, so I was wondering when you guys are going to be posting that. The senior meetings, just for clarity, obviously I'm not older, but I recall somebody stating that you had to be of a certain age to attend these meetings. Just as an inquiring mind, I'd like to know if I could attend those meetings just to be in the loop of what's going on in the township. And then as far as 10G, I wanted to make sure that the children's with disabilities, I couldn't see from your post there, but I was just making sure that with the cement outline, that there's going to be a ramp of some sort for kids that are handicapped and all of that. So if you could just clarify that, I'd appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further comments from the public? I'll bring it back up to the board. Trustee Hornberger, I'll start with you tonight. Any comments? No comments. Pardon me? All good? Trustee Washburn?
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. I'd like to again welcome Police Officer Carson Washburn to employment here in Chesterfield. And another thank you to Eagle Scouts-elect James DeRose and Eddie Foster. They both, I know, raised all the money themselves for the project, and some money was even returned to the Historical Society because they were able to fundraise more than what was required. Some of the suppliers donated, after the fact, donated and didn't require payment. So, again, good work for that. I'd also like to wish everyone Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Trustee Anderson?
Thank you. To the best of my knowledge, those are semi-automatic, correct, Chief? Yeah, they're not fully automatic. The officers will pay them off. They'll be their weapon to be familiar with, and we hope they remain that way. I'd like to wish everybody a Merry Christmas and Happy Holiday season. Take care.
All yours, Dave.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. Just to clear up the senior meeting, you don't have to be a senior. In fact, you're welcome there. The comments about people being told they're not welcome, they never happened when I was there. I mean, I don't ever recall anybody being told that they were not welcome. The formation of the meetings moving forward in January, they are a public meeting. They will comply with the Open Meetings Act. There will be minutes, and I would expect that in any public meeting, there's an opportunity on the agenda for public comment. I don't know for certain, but that would be my recommendation, and that would be, my thoughts going forward. Mr. Locke, as Trustee Anderson said, I made a note. We do have officers that buy back, their weapons, their service. The expectation is that once they leave a sworn capacity, they're now a civilian, and so the weaponry will match, civilian requirements. And I'm not even sure the distinction now, if there is one, between law enforcement only. But in any event, we're always in compliance with federal firearm laws, and there are no civilian applications given to the officers once they retire. The comments about the pay raises, I knew they're never good. They're never an easy thing to take on. But I never signed up for this job for the stipend that I get for a meeting or the salary. And as I mentioned during the deliberations, I think when I factor in the hours that I put in, I could do better, somewhere else if money was really what it's all about. So sometimes an agenda item is important to others more than myself, and I don't necessarily have a huge objection to it. And in the interest of trying to find some cohesiveness, sometimes you give a little, sometimes you bend. This was not an issue that I was terribly concerned about in the grand scheme of the overall budget. To see people take to Facebook and call you a crook or corrupt, it stings a little. It's not my first day on the internet, but when it comes from people who actually spend a little time here, it makes you kind of reevaluate. And I say that because I'm really sick and tired of you taking to the podium, and I'm talking to you, Mr. Speaker, to take to the podium and start calling people names or insulting people's honor erroneously. Sometimes there's no cause for it at all. And when you talk about people being a fascist, and it's unnecessary, it's hurtful. And I think in the new year, if you come to the podium and you ask a respectful question, I'm going to give you a respectful answer. And if you act the way that you've acted recently, I appreciate if you just lose my number. Because I don't have any patience or tolerance for the continued re-election campaign that we seem to be on perpetually in this township. And you really come across in a not helpful way. And it's thank you. And that's a perfect example.
I'll control the meeting, not you. That's another problem that you
It's a perfect example of the continuation of sparks. It's, again, I'm not going to lecture an audience member, but it's the continuation of sparks that really degrades us. There's no meaningful dialogue when we're calling each other fascists and questioning somebody's honor over their vote. It's just not productive in really any meaningful way. And again, New Year, I'm sick of it. I'm not I'm not participating in it. And this is really probably the last time I'm going to address you, because you've made yourself, I think in a lot of ways, very, very irrelevant with your antics. So with that said, I did have one additional item, Mr. Supervisor. A lot of residents got up and spoke about an agenda item that doesn't appear. And that is an item that we will take up in closed session. And I understand from a couple of the residents that spoke, it was actually the owner of the property that responded to questions from the homeowners wanting to know what was going on behind their homes. And he indicated that there was some interaction with the township. The township on a regular basis does not discuss potential property purchases, for the simple fact that we wouldn't want to drive up the price if we were considering a purchase. So we will discuss that if we take action coming out of closed session. But to be clear, that information to the residents that came forward came from the property owner. So with that, I'd just like to close wishing everybody a Merry Christmas. Thank you.
Thank you. Treasurer Elliott?
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. I think the one question that was asked, Josh, is that has a ramp, I'm assuming, for at the playground equipment? The playground?
It will be a ramp from the asphalt pathway. The ones that touch the asphalt pathway will be a level ramp going to that side, though.
Okay.
The ones that are in the grass, if there's two swings in the grass will be ramped up level to that concrete, yes.
Okay, for those who are not able to hear, you said that there basically will be a ramp from up there, so thank you. With that, I'm excited to see that playground equipment come in, and it'll be very exciting for lots of moms, and then also folks who are who need wheelchair access. So Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, everyone.
Clerk Reagan.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. Our records project, the more records that we put online, the fewer things that have to be FOIA'd. So the FOIA policy, along with all of the costs associated with that, are approved by the board, and so we have to follow those things. However, it stands to reason that the more that we have available for free online, the fewer things that have to be requested. So we're hoping that that will save some money for residents and make it more convenient for them to get the information that they seek. Hoping that video should have already been up of the event that we held. I will make sure that to make another request for that so that everyone can see that, because not everyone could be there on that day, and there's some really good information in there. Would like to thank the North Gratiot Cruise Committee for everything that they have done for the community. They have, over the years, I've been on that board participating with that organization ever since 2012 when I was first elected. I've seen them grow tremendously here in the township. It's become kind of one of their events, has become one of our kind of trademark, hallmark events. People come from all over to participate in that. And they have given back tens of thousands of dollars to the community. It's one of the few cruises that I know of that gives 100% back to the community that they bring in after expenses. So I'm very proud to be associated with that fine group of folks that were here tonight. I strongly encourage all of our residents and all the public who's listening, frequent the businesses that participate with that organization. And please, the next cruise, volunteer, come on out, encourage people to put their cars in the car show, or if you know runners, to participate in whatever the events they have, because that does directly benefit our community right here in Chesterfield. And they have done it for more than a dozen years, and I support them any way that I can, so I encourage you to do so as well. Other than that, I'd like to remind everyone to have a very Merry Christmas. Remember the reason for the season. Spend time with your loved ones, and remember that life is precious, and this is a very special time of year. Very excited to be back with my fellow board members here in January, and wish everyone, all of my colleagues here as well, a very Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. Thank you.
Thank you. Just some final comments from me. Pretty much covered the Senior Advisory Committee, solidify that. That will be, Trustee Joseph will bring that back at the next meeting to identify that group. We are looking for additional lighting and having those conversations on Gratiot north of 23 Mile Road now. One of the projects in 2025 that we're going to kick off is identifying homeowners associations and subdivision associations that have been created throughout the township. This is, kind of rolls into the conversation that trustee Joseph and I exchanged we had with identifying historical homeowners association and who's responsible for what. And again, the end goal is to put those association agreements up on a public page where everything is accessible to them. We did sign the lease for the old Cape Harp Military Housing for the veterans, next to the Veterans House. We'll begin in 2025 for accessibility and public use of that space. I too would like to echo the clerk, Mr. Johnson, John Johnson, Mike Vendetti, Joe Baller, and the entire chamber group that came here tonight. He has been nothing, Mr. Johnson and his chamber group have been nothing but an asset to this township. And the group that he assembles on a monthly basis is just highlights the township. And as he said, he is a resident here and he's concerned. Again, echoing comments from trustee Joseph about SMART. We will continue to work with them to try and get a bigger return on what the residents pay for that service and what is provided for us. That may take a little bit longer time than I had originally anticipated. Mr. Locke, the police chief, is right in the back of the room. Any questions or concerns you have about professional police officers carrying rifles and what they introduce to the community? He is more than available to address any of your concerns. And again, I want to say it has been an amazing year. I am fortunate and humbled to sit as the supervisor here. I appreciate, no matter what happens, I appreciate the opportunity to be the face or the supervisor here. And in 2025, as was stated by several the elected people, fellow board members, is we've got nothing but good happening. And I am looking forward to 2025 because it is going to be an amazing year. And I hope, and it is my intention to partner with every single one of you to make this township one of the premier townships in Macomb County. And I cannot do it without your help and without your input. And I can only state it's an honor to sit in this chair and be the supervisor here. So with that being said, I wish each and every one of you a happy holiday. Enjoy your family, enjoy your time, and in January, we're going to get busy. So thank you very much. Item 14 is a closed session. If we could go to my temporary office on the backside, the page is up, and I think we won't be long if we can I'll make a motion to adjourn or to enter closed session. Is there any support?
We need to state why we're
Support
going
by,
into closed session.
Clerk Berry, go ahead.
14A is to consider the purchase or lease of real property pursuant to Section 8(1)D of the Open Meetings Act.
There's a motion by Supervisor Kirsten, supported by Trustee Anderson. Clerk Berry.
Supervisor Kirsten.
Aye.
Trustee Anderson. Aye. Trustee Joseph.
Aye.
Trustee Hornberger. Aye. Trustee Vosberg.
Aye.
Treasurer Elliott.
Aye.
Clerk Berry, aye.
Closed session at 8:39. Supervisor Kirsten will make a motion to return to open session at 9:03. Is there any support?
Support.
Treasurer Elliott? Clerk Berry? Call the roll.
Supervisor Kirsten?
Aye.
Treasurer Elliott?
Aye.
Trustee Anderson?
Aye.
Trustee Joseph?
Aye.
Trustee Hornberger? Aye. Trustee Vosberg?
Aye.
Clerk Berry, aye.
There is an action item coming out of closed session. Clerk Berry, would you read?
Motion to authorize the supervisor to proceed with the purchase of property as discussed in closed session.
Supervisor Kirsten will make a motion to approve. Is there any support?
Support?
Trustee Joseph? Krista, I need to add something to that. Motion by Supervisor Kirsten, supported by Trustee Joseph. Clerk Berry, call the roll.
Mr. Supervisor, if we could just put a little commentary on the record.
Yep. This discussion is about a property acquisition that was, the township was approached on some time ago. It was discussed in a closed session. There was, unfortunately, it became known publicly. I did send a very vague letter out to the neighboring properties to kind of try and clear the air as to what direction was going. I did make it clear that it was still an item in closed session and that we would take action tonight. And so that's the result of our closed session, was to acquire this piece of property. Is that good enough? Should
Yeah,
I
no,
add anything?
that's perfect. I just wanted to add, the basis for my support on this is when this property became an option, my initial reaction was that we own a lot of township property, and, acquiring more land to take obligations for maintenance didn't seem like a wise investment. The issue with this particular piece of property, and why I think it is significant, is the residents who live in Sugar Bush Farms, who came to the meeting tonight. Some of them were actually directly approached by the landowner, the property owner who owns the parcel directly behind their homes, began selling to individual homeowners who were purchasing the lot directly behind them. And as he continued down the subdivision, the parcel is kind of V-shaped, and it get maybe cost prohibitive. I'm not exactly sure, but the residents weren't either interested or capable of buying the property. And the alternative was, he made it clear that he was going to sell the property for development. Which again, the township doesn't enter into winners or losers as it relates to development, but in this particular parcel, we have an interest in that the parcel abuts the township property. It empties out into a subdivision where people who would like to hike or bike or walk can catch the senior path or the township campus path, walk across on this particular parcel, and then through the subdivision, safe, not a lot of heavy traffic, through the subdivision, and connect to our envisioned plan involving the former lagoon properties. So the opportunity to have a bike path and a walking path there is really an opportunity that we take advantage of now and potentially never have that available again, because once it's developed, the idea of having this kind of path and connectivity is almost nil. We're excited about it. I think that some of the discussion in closed session, there's a lot of opportunity, but there's not necessarily the funds currently to develop this in the way that we would like to. So I think the general belief is that we could be years away from fully realizing the connectivity, but the opportunity to purchase the parcel at such an economical price, I think, is a great opportunity to try to preserve some green space in this community. A lot of our residents say over and over and over that the township is building too fast, that the infrastructure isn't going to support it, that there's traffic concerns, and I think when the township is presented with an opportunity like we were tonight, or some months ago, and put it all together tonight, I think the asking price is well within market value, and I think a great opportunity for the township to preserve some green space. So I'm enthusiastic about this and support it. Thank you.
Thank you. So I have a motion by Supervisor Carson, supported by Trustee Joseph, to move forward with the purchase request. Clerk Barry?
Supervisor Kirsten.
Aye.
Trustee Joseph.
Aye.
Trustee Anderson.
Aye.
Trustee Hornberger. Aye. Trustee Vosberg.
Aye.
Treasurer Elliott.
Aye.
Clerk Barry, no.
Item 15, adjournment. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Trustee
Support.
Joseph, supported by Elliott. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Meeting's adjourned, 9:09.